I'm Nicoletta, and you're staying on top. But sometimes the bottom's nice, too. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the science behind playing hard to get. I think there's a lot of mixed feelings about the idea of playing hard to get. Some people think it's not feminist, or maybe it doesn't work, or they don't like to play games. But I'm just a feminist here trying to give you a little science behind how the brain works. I think most of us like to think that we have free will and we get to decide who we're attracted to and when, but there's actually a lot more science, biology, and evolution behind it. I think it's really important for us to differentiate when we're talking about playing hard to get, that there's a big difference between feeling of higher value and feeling like you deserve the best versus being manipulative and being an asshole and playing the game too much. In general, the research does tell us that playing hard to get does work, but it's kind of more complicated and a little more intricate than that. I came across this great article recently that talked about the difference between playing hard to get and being hard to get. Playing hard to get is making things up and making it seem like you're unavailable and are doing things in order for the person to like you. Being hard to get is really feeling empowered and enjoying other aspects of your life and actually being busy and fulfilled by those things. So if we're talking about playing hard to get, we need to talk about dopamine. So dopamine is mostly associated with pleasure, but it actually has a lot to do with other things like motivation and reward. So since this isn't really a science lesson, we're not going to go too much into what dopamine is and what it does, but in short, it basically means it makes you feel good. So dopamine is good feelings. So the way that these good feelings build up in your brain is the longer you let dopamine or good feelings build up for an amount of time, the more intense and the longer you'll feel those good feelings. So if you have like an instant gratification, quick reward, you're not going to feel those good feelings for a long amount of time or with as much intensity. But delaying that gratification and being or playing hard to get actually intensifies those good dopamine feelings and will make the reaction and those good feelings even stronger and last longer. But if you're anything like me and you hate waiting, I know it can be really hard to do that, but there really is something delicious about the tease. But there is a really big difference between being cold, inaccessible, non-emotional, or a shithead versus being a little hard to get and knowing that you have high value. With being hard to get, you can also see how committed or interested the other person is, but there's definitely a fine balance. So if you wait a really long time and are overly aloof and inaccessible, that might backfire and won't work. And if you're too attainable and you give away that reward too quickly, people might lose interest. This isn't to say that you can't have casual sex and can't do casual hookups, but if you're looking for a longer-term relationship, you want to come off as like medium attainable. So not too overly standoffish, but not, telling everyone right away. So remember, this phenomenon can obviously work on you too. So try to ask yourself, if you're like fiending after unrequited love, is it just because the other person is playing hard to get? And also, I think it's important to ask yourself why you're following after someone who's kind of told you that they're not making an effort and not willing to put in the time to be with you. If you want more information, check out some of the articles I've posted below. Tune in next time for even more ways to stay on top.